Hello, and good afternoon, my friend. Today I'm going to show you all the bosses of the 4th chapter of Black Myth Wukong. We'll also talk about the tactics of fighting each one individually, and I'll give you some useful tips on how to defeat each of them. So, here we go. First boss, the Second Sister. The Second Sister transforms into a large spider, but don't let that scare you, my friend. The boss has quite weak attacks in his arsenal that won't do you much damage. Besides, you'll always have a pause to regain your health in time. As you can see in the video, I had activated a different spirit than the one most often used in battle, and even it changed to do enough damage to the enemy. So I think you won't have any problems with this enemy. Use your entire arsenal: Immobilize, Cloud Step, Red Tides, Plaque of Many, and any spirit you like. In general, I most often choose the Wandering White Spirit for combat, but it's more out of habit. By the 4th chapter, you should already have a fairly large arsenal of different spirits. Your partner will help you in battle, but I haven't noticed much usefulness from him. So don't rely too much on this obnoxious boar. Fight in an aggressive manner, attack a lot with simple punches, and replenish your life when it's low. Elder Amourworm. I don't even know what useful things to say about this huge worm. It's really very simple. The boss's attacks are very slow. The enemy himself is clumsy, and his attacks are weak and don't do much damage. In general, even getting hit by him requires a lot of effort. Perhaps with this boss, the main challenge will be how quickly you defeat him. For fun, you can try not to take any damage from the enemy. I thought about it after I won and got a kick from the boss at the end. Some regular enemies deal more damage, so the recommendation is the same. Use the entire arsenal you have, just to keep the fight moving. If you come to the boss and you have no mana, don't worry, you can handle it with simple staff attacks. Third boss, Venom Daoist 1. Venom Daoist has a 1 next to his name for a reason. You'll meet this boss one more time in this chapter, and he'll be much stronger then. For now, enjoy a fairly weak enemy. Some of his attacks can be swift, but none of them do huge damage. That's why you can always recover, and the pauses between attacks are long. The boss has 6 arms. He will use them all, as well as his sword, but dodging them will not be a problem. Make your powerful series of attacks using all your skills, and you will see that the boss is almost defeated. He falls from a strong staff blow, a wandering white blow, and wind tamer activation. Use this. 4th boss, Centipede Guai. My friend, if you also hate all kinds of bugs and cockroaches, then you should destroy this creature with great pleasure. What you should pay attention to. In general, the boss has rather predictable attacks. You've seen similar animations of his attacks on simple enemies many times before. When he falls on top of you, it can really hurt. No wonder, it's such a big bug. So, it is advisable to dodge these attacks. Its other regular attacks don't do much damage, although you can collect enough of them during the battle. In general, be careful and use all your skills in time. Somewhere in the middle of the battle, Centipede Guai will summon an army of small bugs that will roll in your direction and explode. In addition to the damage from the explosion, these little bugs infect you with poison. You have to dodge them continuously until they disappear. When the boss folds up like a bagel and rolls like a wheel, just dodge in time. You have to beat this boss on the first try. Although it's not very easy, it's not even close to the difficult enemies you've already defeated. Fifth boss, Buddha's right hand. This is a rather unusual boss. The fight takes place in a narrow corridor, which makes it very difficult to maneuver. The arm moves slowly, so you need to dodge its attempts to crush you against the wall in time. Another dangerous attack of the enemy is something similar to a finger click. Since the hand has a large range of motion, you'll have to run towards it, shorten the distance as much as possible, and Cloud Step will help you here. The opponent freezes for a few seconds when he hits the wall. This is the time to launch your series of attacks and, if possible, use Immobilize to continue dealing damage. When the boss is down to 50% health, you'll see that it's not just a hand, but a giant and very disgusting bug again. When it appears, it will burp a huge poisonous swamp around you. You need to get out of it as quickly as possible. At this stage, the boss will often use poison, so anti-miasma powder will be useful, which removes the effect of poison and increases resistance to poison for a while. In general, the boss is not difficult, but if you have difficulties, stop your sparks a little with a bias towards poison defense. Sixth boss, Baw-Li-Guhh-Baw. Where would you go without a frog? Each chapter has its own frog. All the actions of the frog are similar to those you saw in previous chapters, except that it spits something poisonous. So again, protection against poisoning and anti-miasma powder, which will remove the effect of poison. Without anti-miasma powder, the battle can be difficult. The poison will slowly but steadily reduce your life, and the boss sometimes hits you hard. But if you don't want to use anti-miasma powder, get ready to deal a lot of damage and end the fight quickly. Maybe then you will have enough life jars to survive. I recommend using a plaque of many before the battle. Immobilize and Wandering White at the beginning of the battle. During the battle, Cloud Step and Red Tides will be effective. It may take a few tries to get used to the frog's attacks, but it definitely won't be a dozen or even 24 attempts. You have to finish the fight quickly. Seventh boss, Bajie. You're looking at an acquaintance, even a friend, a boar with a rake. Don't ask how it happened, but you need to defeat him. You will have 2 fights with this boar in total. The good news is that you will have the opportunity to recover at the altar after the first fight. And anyway, if you lose in the second battle, you don't have to start all over again, but only from the second phase. The first battle is simple. The boar wants to hit you with its rake. Sometimes it turns into a tornado. In general, all his blows do not do much damage. They are easily predictable. And if you act aggressively, the boar will not have time to recover. All of your useful skills, such as Immobilize, Cloud Step, a Plaque of Many, Red Tides, and any spirit, will help you end the fight quickly. If necessary, you can use Wind Tamer. This will give you a short pause in the battle to restore your health or launch a swift attack. After this fight, you will need to find a new shrine nearby, rest there, and go through a narrow gap to the arena where the second fight with the boar will take place. The second fight will be divided into 2 phases. The first phase is, of course, less dangerous. In the first phase, you need to save most of your skills, and preferably the entire supply of life jars. The boar's attacks have become much faster, more aggressive, and they turn into a series of attacks that you have to dodge. Sometimes the boar turns into a huge fish. At this point, you don't have to think about the attack, but only about how to dodge and survive. Wait for the right moment to attack again. The boar's attacks have become much faster, more aggressive, and they have turned into a series of attacks that have to be dodged. Sometimes the boar turns into a huge fish. At this point, you don't have to think about the attack, but only about how to dodge and survive. Wait for the right moment to attack again. When the boar turns into a tornado, it disappears and then suddenly reappears. Be ready to dodge in time. The task is to learn how to get to the second phase and save most of your skills for the second half of the fight. The second phase is really hard. Here, our little boar can turn into a big boar, into the same big fish but with new skills, and into a crowd of rhinos. We have to learn to survive all these transformations. While the boar is in transformation, you can hit it once or twice. The rest of the time, you will be dodging and surviving. Your fight takes place in some black mud or tar. In the big boar transformation, he will blow up this tar around you. Use Immobilize to stop this mess. In the fish transformation, in addition to quick attacks, it is also dangerous for the fish to fall into the resin, even far from you. After the fish falls, a shockwave will go along the surface, which causes quite a bit of damage. Learn to jump over it. Transforming into a crowd of rhinos is the most difficult, in my opinion. All these rhinos run at you, knock you down, don't let you recover, and do a lot of damage. During the first transformation into rhinos, I recommend using red tides. While it is active, you can even try to deal some damage to the enemy. If the boss lives long enough, he will use the rhino transformation again, dodge as quickly and carefully as possible. The main thing is to survive. Remember that after his transformation, your opponent will fall down for a moment. Try to stay close to him when he falls to deal damage. If you're far away, use Cloud Step to shorten the distance. As soon as the boss starts to get up, use Immobilize if he has recovered. This boss will definitely take you a dozen tries to get used to performing all the operations in time. When the boss is in transformation, Wind Tamer does not work on him. An army of your copies is also not effective in battle because the boss moves very quickly and is either close or very far away from you. It is better to save mana for other spells. 8th boss, Violet Spider. Violet Spider is a mandatory boss in the story. This means that you won't be able to level up your character and return to the battle later. You need to prepare for the battle carefully. Be sure to stock up on anti-miasma powder. You will need to remove poisoning. During the battle, beware of the green puddles around you. They poison you. If possible, avoid the cobwebs. This sticky stuff restricts your movements. To get out of it, do several dodges in a row. It's dangerous as long as you don't move. The enemy can do a lot of damage to you. Before starting the fight, I advise you to drink all the potions you have that can increase your attack. Critical attack chance and critical attack power. The boss battle can be difficult if you play through the game quickly and your character is not sufficiently leveled up. At the very beginning, I recommend summoning a copy by activating the skill A Plaque of Many, using Immobilize and Wandering White. Next, transform with Red Tides. This is the time to deal maximum damage. After that, your tactic will be to dodge the enemy's attacks, alternately using Cloud Step. Here you will have to wait for your skills to recover. As soon as you adapt to the enemy's attacks, you will be able to counter-attack with short series of attacks that will give you a winning result in the overall standings. Ninth boss, Commander Beetle. When you enter the arena where this boss is located, you will see 6 other Daoists training. They will also be your opponents, so you should focus on destroying them first. You can use charged power punches or plane attacks. The Spirit Apramana Bat, whom you defeated in the previous chapter, can do this. In any case, you must first destroy the simple mobs as quickly as possible. Otherwise, you will not be able to control the course of the fight, and will constantly receive blows from unexpected places. The boss itself is not difficult, but quite fast. He often jumps back far away from you. It happens quickly, so sometimes you can miss with heavy charged punches, as well as the Wandering White attack. On the unpleasant side, the boss has a lot of poison daggers that he attacks with in a plane. The poison from the daggers doesn't do much damage, but it can play a decisive role. I advise you to use anti-miasma powder in time to remove the poison. All other enemy attacks are predictable. There are pauses between his attacks that allow you to restore stamina or health. Be careful at the end of the battle. When the enemy is low on health, you may think that it is easy to finish him off with a few quick hits. This is a mistake. It is better to wait for a pause and attack when you have the opportunity, and until then, dodge his attacks. Otherwise, you may end up in the same situation as I did in the video, when I won with a significant amount of health and almost completely exhausted it. Tenth boss, Supreme Inspector. This is your first encounter with the boss, and fortunately, you don't have to defeat him. You'll have a full-on boss battle in Chapter 6. This boss is part of the quest to collect purple talismans. By the way, you need to complete this quest before, after you defeat the final boss of this chapter. So, as soon as the battle starts and you deal 10% damage to the enemy, a scene will start in which a bird that looks like a rooster will appear, but it's not exact. In Chinese mythology, everything is ambiguous, so this rooster will save you and the Supreme Inspector will just fly away. After a short address to you, where the rooster mentions that monkeys are generally very stupid, he will also fly away, and that's the whole meeting. So we're glad that we don't have to fight this creature, because, looking ahead, a full-fledged battle with him is very difficult. And without the special item that you get for defeating the boss of Chapter 5, it's even more difficult. But it's time to move on. We're going to face some really tough challenges at the end of Chapter 4. 11th boss, Fungiwoman. When I talked about really tough challenges, I wasn't talking about this boss. Fungiwoman is a simple enemy that will be easy to defeat. The next time you want to pick mushrooms out of the ground, this woman will come out. It's a kind of gift. She can poison a little, but her poison is not fatal. That is, you don't even need to use any additional powders to remove this poison. Your task is to do as much damage as possible at an aggressive pace. Use standard tactics. Summon a plaque of many. Activate Immobilize. Then a series of blows. Finish it off with Wandering White. Then Red Tides. When you come out of the transformation, use Cloud Step and actively hit this woman with your staff. You may have to dodge a few times at the end of the fight, but if you don't, you can easily regain your health in the pauses between the boss's attacks. If necessary, you can knock the enemy down using Wind Tamer. 12th boss, Venom Daoist 2. Oh, do you remember this opponent? I told you that the second fight with him would be more difficult, and it will be. But in my case, I made it harder for myself. I got to him by completely spending all my mana. I didn't even have a drop to use a single spell. So my goal was not to defeat this boss. How can you beat the enemy if you can't use your skills? But practice has shown that anything is possible. The fight turned out so that I won, although I had to spend quite a lot of time on it. I think your battle will be much easier. After all, the full mana scale and your skills will probably make the fight 3 times easier. So what awaits you? The battle takes place in 2 phases. The good news is that the enemy's health scale does not recover when you enter the second phase, it just becomes more aggressive. To enter the second phase, you need to cut off the arms that grow behind your opponent's back. The easiest way to do this is to use Immobilize. When the enemy is not moving, go behind his back and hit him with either a strong punch or a series of weak blows. In general, even though the boss is active and sometimes attacks frequently, I don't see any difficulty in defeating him. My friend, you have a whole arsenal of skills that you know how to use. You also know how to dodge in time. What else do you need? So go ahead and defeat the boss.
Tell me about the people that you know who are trying to feel alive. Life can get hard, so honey, if you need to cry, just come share my pillow and rain, rain, go away. I wanna hear about everything you're ever thinking. You know that I can take the truth. Call me out if you think I'm ever slipping. Maybe I can turn it around. Oh yeah. Baby, if you want us, you know time is on our side. But things are gonna haunt us, we'll just have to put aside. And I'm right here if you just need to cry. Come love, share.
13th boss, Daoist me. This battle will start only after you complete the quest. The battle is divided into 2 phases. In each phase, the boss will have a new health bar. In the first phase, your opponent attacks with his feet and sword. Try to dodge in time and save all your skills for the second phase. Of course, you won't be able to pass the first phase without using your skills at all. But Red Tides, a Plaque of Many, and Wind Tamer should definitely be saved for the second phase. Moreover, calculate your mana so that you have enough for these spells. You'll pass the first phase quite easily, as the boss is active, but doesn't deal much damage and his attacks are predictable. You will have time to replenish your health, and if necessary, even just move the fight to a more open area with more room for maneuvers. You can use Immobilize and Cloud Step once, but don't overuse them. Remember that you will need mana for the second phase of the battle. When you defeat the enemy in the first phase, it will turn into something disgusting and poisonous. You'll need anti-miasma powder to remove the poison in time. At the beginning of the second phase, activate a Plaque of Many. The enemy loses focus from the rapid attacks and cannot do anything. This is your time to inflict as much damage as possible. Hit him with everything you have. Fast punches, heavy punches, and Wandering White. After your copies are gone, activate Red Tides and deal some more damage. He will poison you with poison, and you will burn him with fire. After that, you'll just have to finish him off with a series of quick attacks. If the fight drags on, your skills should regenerate. At least one Cloud Step. This will make the battle much easier for you. 14th boss, Scorpionlord. And finally, the long-announced challenges and difficulties. This boss is very difficult. It's not enough to say that he's just difficult. He is really very, very difficult. If you don't want to fight him, you can skip him. If you go straight to the other boss in this location, namely the Duskveil, Scorpionlord will appear during the fight and fight with you against Duskveil. In this fight, Scorpionlord will be defeated, but you will not be able to receive a reward for him, and the boss will no longer be available at his location. In this case, the only way to get the reward for this boss is to play the game again. Scorpionlord attacks so much and often that I chose the tactic of activating Cloud Step, summoning a Plaque of Many, and while they are fighting with each other to generate attack power with the Pilgrim set. I think you know about its bonus, which is an increase in attack power while running. In this battle, the Apramana Spirit skill, which freezes the enemy, helped me a lot. This is a kind of analogue of Immobilize, which allows you to charge up, run up, and strike another strong blow at the enemy. After using Cloud Step again, I didn't rush to hit the enemy, but used Wind Tamer. The enemy fell on his back, and this is the time to activate Red Tides to deal maximum damage. It is in this sequence that I managed to deal quite a bit of damage to the enemy, and he has little health left. But the problem is that you will no longer have active skills, and you will have to fully demonstrate evasive skills. Your task is to survive. This is the most dangerous period, when the enemy can finish you off in a few blows, which happened more than once while I was training and adjusting to the boss's attacks. In general, I spent a lot of time to complete this boss, but it was worth it, so don't despair, you will definitely succeed. Just keep trying. 15th boss, the Duskveil. This boss is a little easier than the previous one, but I assure you that you will have to suffer a lot with it. But you have to defeat the boss, because you'll get Weaver's Needle, which will make the battle with the final boss of this chapter much easier. So you can't skip it, you have to do your best. The battle is divided into 2 phases. In each phase, the boss has its own health scale. The first phase is relatively simple. Your task is to save all your mana and skills until the second phase, when they will really come in handy. At the beginning of the second phase, the boss throws bunches of spears at you, which are difficult to dodge, and in this video, I tried to just practice dodging these spears. So I chose the Spellbinder skill. If you don't know how it works, I'll tell you briefly. You need to collect as much mana as possible using talismans and potions and activate Spellbinder. The more mana you have at the time of activation, the stronger your attack. As a result, this skill prohibits absolutely all skills, but increases your basic staff attack very significantly. This helped me to pass the first phase quickly, and I just practiced dodging in the second phase. But the training went so far that I was able to defeat the boss. So, as an option, you can use this tactic, but carefully understand how Spellbinder works to maximize the effectiveness of this spell. As for the second phase, the boss has a lot of different skills that work both up close and at a distance. My build left me with no choice but to always be at the enemy's feet and try to deal as much damage as possible during this time. When he activates his skills that work at a distance or over a large area, you have to jump back and wait for the right moment. In general, I had to dodge most of the time in this battle. I'm not claiming to be right, but I thought it was easier to beat the boss with Spellbinder than with the standard set of spells. I'll definitely be playing NG+, so I'll check it out there. One thing remains the same. You'll need to spend a lot of time studying the boss's attacks and learning how to dodge them. Without this, you won't be able to 16th boss, Yellow Loong. Yellow Loong is one of the 4 Loongs we meet in each chapter, and although the location with Yellow Loong was available at the beginning of the chapter, I returned to it only now, after defeating Duskveil. Weaver's Needle helped me in this battle, because Wind Tamer was completely helpless in the fight against this boss. This is the strongest Loong of all 4, so I had to suffer a bit here. This boss can kill you in just 2 to 3 hits, so you need to dodge as efficiently as possible. Of course, it is recommended to level up your character as high as possible before the fight, which will make the battle much easier. During the battle, Yellow Loong uses a spear charged with the element of lightning. You must learn the timing of this attack, otherwise you will not be able to dodge this dangerous attack. Shock Quelling Powder will help you a lot in the battle. The boss uses a long series of attacks, and you should learn them as well. When Yellow Loong sticks his spear into the ground, expect him to fly into the air and start attacking you from there. My tactic for winning is as follows. At the beginning of the battle, summon a Plaque of Many, along with copies. Deal as many quick attacks as possible, also with the Spirit of Wandering Wight. Before the copies leave, use Immobilize and deal maximum damage. When the monkey army is gone, activate Red Tides to deal some more damage. Then we try to survive until our skills recover, immediately use Weaver's Needle, actively use Cloud Step. The boss doesn't have much health left, so you need to wait for the right moment when there is a pause in his attacks and counterattack. The rest of the time, dodge and heal. For defeating all 4 Loong, we have the opportunity to craft a powerful enough weapon, the Golden Loong Staff, which we will need on the final boss of this chapter. 17th boss, 100-Eyed Daoist Master. 100-Eyed Daoist Master is the final boss of the 4th chapter. When you first come to him, there will be a scene of punishment for the spider girls you had to defeat throughout the chapter. At the beginning of the battle, these spider girls will help you kill the boss. There's some drama there. Your enemy will kill the mother of the spider girls and transform into a half spider, half human. If you are defeated the next time you start the battle, they will be gone. But the boss's health bar will no longer be full. It means that the spider girls have knocked everything out of him. It's up to you. The boss uses poison and shock attacks. Anti-miasma powder and shock quelling powder will come in handy. At the beginning of the fight, I recommend summoning a Plaque of Many and immediately afterwards Red Tides. Not only will you deal a lot of damage to the enemy, but this transformation will recover until the end of the fight and allow you to end the fight with a victory. In general, there is only one recommendation: deal damage and survive. For the first, you need your skills. For the second, you need to dodge in time. And you'll have to dodge a lot. This is the final boss, and what did you expect? I'm not going to describe all the boss's skills because you don't really need to. You won't remember half of them, and you won't see half of them. It's all about practice. When the boss has about 30% of his health left, he will swallow his sword. This will make him so strong that he is almost invincible. Weaver's Needle, which you got after defeating Duskveil, will help you get him out of this state. You defeated him, didn't you? Because you're going to need it here. Before the battle, I strongly recommend that you upgrade all possible parameters in Sudog's shop. In addition to defense, activate shock and poison protection. Be sure to maximize your armor and the new staff you can get after defeating all 4 Loongs. Pick up the strongest potions that increase your attack. In the battle with this boss, every hit counts. Every drop of damage brings you closer to victory. Well, my friend, I hope my recommendations will help you. And if you found something useful, please subscribe to my channel and like this video. If you have any questions or additions, feel free to leave a comment. We will discuss everything related to the bosses of the 4th chapter of Black Myth Wukong there.